All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Revival Podcast. Today we've got Bridger Allman, one of the owners here. We are super pumped to have you on, Bridger.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's probably should have had you on one of the very first episodes because you're one of the big wigs here. And it's funny, you guys probably don't see Bridger as much just because he spends most of his times in more of the operations. Do you want to actually just kind of introduce a little bit where you spend most of your days, and we'll jump into that a little bit more later.
Yeah, most of you guys probably know I'm over payroll. That's probably where you guys have most of your interaction with me. But payroll is pretty much just a small part of what I'm doing.
Very small part.
I kind of help. My main thing that I spend most of my time with is just overseeing the operations of the company. Pretty much everything that happens post-sale. I work really closely with Joe. I think he's been on the podcast before, and you guys have probably listened to that one as well. If not, go check that one out. But I work closely with Joe, with the installers, with the office managers, with kind of the whole back end side of the company to make sure that what we say we do when we're selling a deal or when we're getting someone new windows and we're making all these promises, my job is to make sure that we fulfill on those things and that we do it in a way that is quick and efficient, but that also is up to our standards, because we have really high standards for what it is that we sell and what we offer to our customers. And so I spend a lot of time with operations, but that also covers things like legal, HR, do a lot of hiring, but just hiring on the non-sales side typically. Yep. And then definitely a lot with like payroll, internal systems, a lot of the software stuff. Me and Landon have kind of tackled a lot of like the things that have gone into Sash and Lead Flow and some of our other apps that we've been able to build out. And there's probably other things I could throw in there too. I kind of feel like I have a very wide variety of things that I take on. But what's been cool is the more that we are growing as a company, we're starting to hire out really talented people, not just on the sales side, but on the operations side. And it's really allowing me to kind of take even further steps back from operations and hopefully kind of integrate myself back into the sales side a little bit more, which is kind of ultimately where my background is and where I want to eventually end up, is being more in front of you guys and part of the sales group and being part of that management team.
Yeah, it's a shame, honestly, we don't have Bridger in front of you guys more. So that is definitely the hope, is to get him a little bit more integrated with the sales. But yeah, in short, anything non-directly sales related, Bridger's like the head of all that stuff, and he's freaking killing it. We could not be running this business without you. So
thank you.
But yeah, before we jump too much into getting to know Bridger, got a couple shout outs. Okay, it's the very beginning of the month. Okay, another month gone, another month closer to the end of the year. And last month we had Brennan Holmstead leading the pack of all the closers by far. Okay, totally crushed it. Let's see, what did he end the month at? It was
he went crazy.
Yeah, he had a ton of closed deals. Let's see. I know there was a lot of partials in here, so he's at $326,000 in revenue. Deal count for him was,
I think you're saying it was 24.
Yeah, 24 deals. Okay, that's super awesome. And then on the setters, we had Ashton. We gave him a shout out last week, but now the month's over. Ashton started, or his first deal was November 12th. Okay, so take into account, this is like 2 weeks plus Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
So really probably like 2 weeks of sales or less. And the dude had 123, almost 124,000 in revenue. So that's just freaking awesome. I love seeing that.
Yeah, I got to meet Ashton when I was up at the Kaysville team retreat, and Ashton's a stud. So we're definitely grateful to have him aboard, and he's a rookie. I mean, this is his first month here with us, and he's definitely setting the bar. So we all got to make sure that we don't let him leave us in the dust.
Yeah, seriously. So that's fun to see it. November, December historically are always just a little bit slower because you take off a lot of time for the holidays. So to see you guys just popping off that way makes me really excited. Not too far behind him, we had Jacob Capito end the month at 91,000. And then David Roberts was at 86. So big shout out to all those guys finishing November strong. Let's see what you guys can throw down in December just to finish out the year really strong as you guys come into the company. That way you can carry that momentum into the new year and just totally crush it. So
Yeah,
we're
that's
excited for
insane.
that.
Good work, guys.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's jump in, Bridger.
Sweet.
I think people always like, at least I can speak for myself. I always like hearing people's background a little bit so I
Hmm.
can feel like I know them a little bit more on like a personal level. So let's dive in a little bit on non-sales related Bridger,
Okay.
just like going way back. It's like, is there anything in your childhood that you feel like is worth sharing that kind of shaped you into the person that you are now?
Oh man, uh, so many experiences. I had an awesome childhood. I was born and raised in Orem, so I've been here like my whole life. And I'm the oldest of six. There's five brothers, one girl. And growing up, it was just a lot of fun. I had a lot of hobbies. I was always doing fun stuff. Wanted to hang out with my friends, go places, do things, camp, part of the Boy Scouts. But our family, we weren't like, um, I wouldn't say we weren't well off. We were pretty middle class. I mean, I think a lot of people would probably say that they were middle class as well. But especially where there were so many kids, it was just like we did not have a lot of stuff growing up.
Right.
That being said, my parents did a great job of making sure all the necessities were there. But kind of something that I feel like really helped shape my persona in a way that I view things in life is my dad was very pro, like teaching me the idea that like you can have whatever you want if you work towards it and if you put a good amount of effort in. And so from a pretty young age is significant insignificant as it really was. It was like as a kid, you know, all I ever wanted was to go buy the latest Xbox or toys or whatever else it was. And my dad, they'd get us gifts for presents, but if it wasn't, or they'd get us gifts for Christmas, I should say. But if it wasn't Christmas or your birthday, my birthday's in January, so it was like I always got a good amount of presents like right towards
So
January,
full year
December.
of no gifts, right?
But then the rest of the year is nothing. And so if I wanted something, it was very much like, well, you can go earn money and go buy it yourself. And I think when I think about my childhood, I think that lesson really was something that really helped shape my work ethic when I was a lot younger. My dad pretty much showed me how to mow lawns when I was 12. I think a lot of guys who grew up in Utah, they probably did similar things. Go
Oh
mow
yeah.
lawns, right?
Heck yeah.
Shovel snow. And so a lot of my childhood I spent working, just working really hard, mowing lawns, doing stuff. When I was like 14, I kind of got to a point where I had too many lawns to mow because I had so many
Wow.
neighbors. So I contracted my friend who also lived in the neighborhood, and we kind of
That's
that was like our
legit.
first business, you could say. And so I hired him, and he kind of worked with me, and we would just go and mow lawns together, and we'd split it. And to me, it was more fun because I got to hang out with my buddy as well. But
That's cool. Who was that?
I was Brigham.
Okay.
Uh, if you guys know Maddie Wimmer here in the company, she's married to Brigham now. So I've been close friends with Brigham for a while. But it was kind of like this thought process that really shaped what I had. Like I could get what I wanted if I worked really hard for it. I'd say the other thing too is my parents were really strict because I was the oldest. If you're not the oldest kid, you probably don't understand this as much, but if any of you guys are the oldest kid, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Your parents are the most strict on the oldest kids. And then by the time they get to their youngest kids, they're like, I don't care. Just go do whatever the heck you want.
So true.
And so being the oldest, the pressure was always like, you got to set an example for your brothers and for your sister, and you got to be the best of the best, and you got to babysit when we're not here. And it I'm very grateful for that because I think it really helped shape a lot of like my way of going about things. But as a kid, I hated it because I just felt like all of my friends could hang out late. It felt like everyone had a lot more freedom than I did as a kid. If I wanted to do like a sleepover at my friend's house, or if I wanted to go to stay up late on the weekend, if my grades weren't in shape, if I wasn't doing good with like my church responsibilities, if I wasn't like showing up on time and getting good grades at school or whatever else, like I had a lot of responsibilities that were kind of like, nope, and you can't do that till your grades are up. And again, that's not a super unique thing about being raised. I think a lot of people were raised that way. But I've always kind of between that and like going out to buy things, like I've always had a mentality of like I need to earn the benefits of life, and I really do think that a lot of my childhood and my life has just been shaped by the that thought process, that mentality of like, if I want it, I have to go out and earn it. And it's not going to be given to me. It's up to me to make it happen. And really grateful that I was raised that way, and I'm grateful to my parents who were willing to say no to me as a kid, because I feel like that really helped shape who I am today.
That's awesome. Yeah, it does make a huge difference on just the way that we're raised carries forward into the rest of our lives. It's fun to always look back at that and be like, oh,
Yeah.
hated that at the time, but I'm glad I had it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you look back and you're always like, that makes a lot more sense now. Now that I have a kid, it's like, yeah, I'm probably going to do a lot of those same things my
Yeah.
parents did. But I attribute a lot of the success that I've had in my life to my parents, my family, my upbringing, my friends. It's like we're really blessed to be here in America or in Utah, or to be surrounded by the people that we have. And while I do take pride in my own accomplishments, like I know that I couldn't be here without a lot of the people that have been helping me along the way.
100%. Yeah, I think a lot of us are the same way. It's like, I definitely, yeah, I'm proud of what I've done, but there's no way in heck that I'd be there without. It's like you or James or my parents or my wife. It's like, it takes a team to
Absolutely.
to make someone succeed. So that's cool. Cool. Let's jump in a little bit more, I guess. Fast forward, going into like college and stuff. Like, what did you study in college?
Um, when I applied to college, I applied to the mechanical engineering program, and I did that for about a year.
I actually
And
did not know that.
yeah, I dropped out because I realized that math just was the worst. And I thought engineering, naively, I just thought it was like you go and make stuff,
Yeah.
like you go work on engines and stuff.
Dude, that's always what you know those tests they make you take in like
Uh-huh.
junior high, like in high school. Well, what should you study? What should your career be?
Uh-huh.
Always mine was mechanical engineering, so I thought maybe I'd do that.
Yeah, and then you get to class and you realize it's way math heavy. And I was fine at math, but I just realized like this just is not what I want to be
Yeah.
doing. So I switched at that point to information systems. I studied at BYU, and pretty much that's what I studied and what I graduated in was information systems. And I ended up really loving the program, but about halfway through the the core of the program, which is like your junior year,
Uh-huh.
I think I just kind of realized, because I was doing sales, door to door sales, all throughout college as well. But about halfway through my program at BYU, I realized I just didn't necessarily ascribe to the idea of like joining a company, being a junior developer, working my way up to earning a senior developer, and then maybe a project manager, and then kind of climbing the ladder. A lot of my friends from school, they're in that path and they're killing it, and so there's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't. It wasn't something that I really envisioned for myself, and so I think towards like halfway through my junior years when I realized like sales is probably going to be a big part of my life for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you've been in sales for long enough, it's like it's hard to even imagine yourself in that other role, right? It's like,
Yeah.
wow, that seems kind of stupid, but great for some people, right? But like
Yeah.
once you've experienced and you've proven that you can do well at this other path, yeah, it just doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah. You got to go into something that you feel like you enjoy doing, and I definitely enjoyed the sales experience I had a lot more than sitting in front of my computer.
Right.
Even though nowadays I do a lot of sitting in front of my computer, but it's more fun because it's my own project.
Yeah,
right?
I'm grateful for your IS
Yeah.
background because you're like the freaking genius behind the computer that actually builds things and makes it work really well. So,
And I will say, like, I think a lot of the sales industry really incorrectly, like, over criticizes education.
yes,
And
big time.
I think, and while I do, it's kind of a fine line because I do think guys can really have a really strong career in sales, a lot better than most of the industries that you can graduate from through the schooling system.
Yeah,
Coming from information systems, learning how to work a computer, learning how to do small amounts of programming, project management. A lot of those skill sets transferred over into us starting the company. And I really am grateful that I had those classes and that education behind me, because it would have been a lot different how we would have gone about things if it wasn't for that little bit of background that I had. And so I was grateful that I had somewhat of a business savvy degree.
Yeah.
It's helped, but ultimately I'm glad that I landed in the spot that I'm in, and that I'm on a career path that I enjoy more than maybe the traditional one that school
Right.
was pitching to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So you mentioned that you did sales all through college. When did you get introduced to sales? And yeah, how did you get into it? I want to hear
Yeah.
that story.
So, as some of you guys might know, me and James, we became friends back in like seventh grade, and we did a lot of school classes together, and we roomed together in college. We served missions at the same time. And when we got back from our missions, and we're at our first semester at BYU, it probably took like a month before someone reached out and said, "Hey, man, you should come do sales." And it was just a buddy that I had who was he was maybe like one or two neighborhoods over, went to school with him, and he was selling at Vivint at the time. And Vivint was always kind of the plan, I guess. I always kind of thought it would have been cool to go sell Vivint. Todd Peterson I grew up like 3 doors down from Todd before he moved to his house that he's currently in. And so I've known the Petersons for a really long time, and the plan was to go do Vivint. And so at the time, it was kind of a no-brainer. We started meeting with one of the regionals over there, and he was pitching us on the idea. And just the thought of making the amount of money that you can make in sales fresh off my mission, like I was definitely hooked on wanting to at least give it a go. Because I was kind of the impression that, like, yeah, I could do this. That's no problem. That's easy.
Right.
Very naive at the time, because it is hard. But we started doing Vivint, and we were training, and they actually sent us down to do like a preseason blitz in Phoenix, where instead of knocking doors, they stationed us at a Best Buy, because at the time, Vivint was experimenting doing like retail sales through Best Buy stores, and so they had like a booth. And
I did
so,
not hear this part ever.
yeah, so me and like 3 of my friends, we were down there. We split up into 2 groups, and we went to 2 different Best Buys down there. And our job was pretty much to go to people who were shopping at Best Buy, bring them over to the Vivint table, and just kind of show them the qualities and features of the doorbell cameras and the security systems, and then see if people would want to buy in the store. And that was like my very first experience to sales, but it was definitely a unique one. I wasn't door knocking.
Yeah, it wasn't door to door, right?
To be honest, it was kind of hard because people at Best Buy weren't there to buy Vivint. They were there to buy whatever else, and so it was kind of hard to bring people away from what they were doing. But that was my first experience, and then we were pretty much fully on board with Vivint when James actually started talking to a regional over at Aptiv, and he kind of started to sell us on the idea of pest control. Right around the same time, I had another guy that I went to school with. He was selling me on the idea of doing pest control with Moxie. And so then I was like, okay, well, maybe before I do Vivint, I should just explore some of my other options. So I went and interviewed, met up with a couple different pest control companies. Long story short, ended up agreeing to go sell Aptiv. And so I went and did my first year of sales with Aptiv in Miami, Fort Lauderdale area back in 2018.
Nice.
And then I was with them for 7 years after that until I came over to here full time.
So walk me through, because I know this story, but I think it's a very powerful story, actually. Didn't you go on like a blitz with Aptiv?
Yeah, this is a good one.
yeah. Walk us through that story and kind of what you learned from that.
So, like I mentioned, the 4 of us who were going to go do Vivint, we all actually switched to Aptiv. We were like, well, let's go sell together, because I do think there's a lot of benefits in selling with friends and people that you know and you love and you trust. Like, sales is tough. And so we thought, like, if we're going to do sales, let's do it together.
Yeah.
So by the time we switched to Aptiv, they had told us, hey, well, why don't we get you guys out on a preseason blitz? Because we were kind of like that. We were pretty sold on the idea, like we want to try it out, like we
Yeah.
did with Vivint.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's just have you go sell down in Las Vegas. So we're like, sweet. So we planned like a 3 or 4 day weekend trip. I think we went down on Wednesday, and we started selling on Thursday. And just kind of funny tidbit to the story, it started snowing on Thursday, which was
In
our first day
Vegas?
in Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so weird to me. I was like, I thought Vegas was like dry desert. And when we were knocking on doors down there, people were giving us just the weirdest, most confused looks because they were like, why are you guys out here? It's snowing for the first time in like 6 years. Like, go home. Like, don't talk to me. I was like, man, sales is hard. But we went out. There was probably a group of 6 of us, and we all worked super, super hard every day. I had memorized the pitch beforehand, and I kind of, unfortunately, by the time the blitz was over, I was the only one who didn't make a sale, which in pest control is heard of. Like people don't just start selling pest control day one always. You do find guys who do that as well,
Right.
but it was really hard for me because I was comparing myself to my friends, and I thought like I'm at a similar point in life, similar backgrounds, similar level of experience to my friends. Like, why couldn't I've come home with the sale?
Right.
And that was my first real experience door knocking. And then maybe to just kind of continue on to the story, we were going to go to Fort Lauderdale, but I was a little bit stressed out about it because I was like, well, I don't know if like it's going to be a mistake. Like, I don't know if maybe sales is for me or not. I didn't sell. I was the only one who didn't sell anything. I lost money on that blitz because I didn't make any money and they weren't like covering any costs for us. So I like paid all this money out of pocket, which at the time I didn't have a ton. So I was worried about it. And then when we got out to Fort Lauderdale, because I said, you know what, I'm still going to give it a go. I went my first 2 weeks in pest control not selling a thing. And it was really tough because the whole team was making sales at that point. It wasn't just my friends, but it was guys that like I had never met before that to me, I was like, oh, I think I can sell better than them. I was probably being really dumb and trying to label myself as like one of the best, like, oh, I can do this, and maybe giving myself false confidence, but I was not selling. In fact, I think I made, by the end of my second week, I probably had made 3 sales, I think, but 2 of them canceled, and so I never got paid on those either. And so like 2 weeks into it, I think I had maybe 1 sale, and I was really in a tough spot because I was like, man, maybe this isn't worth it. Like the summer's only 16, 18 weeks, and I've already spent 2 of them not selling anything. But I've always kind of ascribed to this mentality that like I'm pretty good at learning things. I had just from past experience recognized that it always takes me longer to learn something than other people. But usually once I get it down, I'm usually better than average at those things. I saw that with my degree at school and with a bunch of other things in my life, sports. Like I'm not a quick learner, but I can usually figure things out. And when I figured them out, I'm usually pretty good at them. So I did kind of just like have to rely on a little bit of those past experiences to say, you know what, like I'm just going to keep going. And I think on like the Monday of my 3rd week, I ended up just having this like huge breakthrough where I made a sale like in my first hour of knocking, and my confidence just like shot through the roof, and I ended up selling 5 accounts that day.
Dang,
and then I
okay.
was just like, oh, I made it.
Got it. Figured it out. It's like it clicked.
It clicked. And if you guys listening have had an experience like that in sales, like you know how awesome that feels. Like there's definitely a learning curve, and it's different for everyone, but I definitely had like a breakthrough moment, and then I ended up having a really good summer that year, and was able to qualify to become a team leader, sold enough to go on their incentive trips, ended up being one of the best rookies on the team, and I'm really grateful that I stuck it out because there was a lot of signs along the way in the beginning that was telling me just don't do it, but that was just me being in my head about it.
That's so interesting to hear people in the industry that have done really well. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's a lot of guys that have a similar story to you where they come in and they just like fall on their face. They're like, what is going on, right? And it's
Yeah.
just like have a really hard start, but it's those guys that are able to like just push through because they know they can make it work if they really want it,
Hmm.
and just having that perseverance and getting through the hard start. It's like sometimes and a lot of times makes you come out on top, which is pretty sweet that you definitely saw that happen.
I saw it that time, but I saw it a lot of other times as well throughout sales. Like, I think the other thing too that like I've learned through selling door to door is like you do have those breakthroughs and those times are awesome, but you evidently at some point in time will regress into some sort of slump. And I saw that a lot every year when I would start up selling again. There was just always these like 2 or 3 week periods where I just could not figure out. Where I'm like, man, I was selling better as I was as a rookie than I am right now, 5 years into my career doing pest control. And I think the most important thing is just to rely on those past experiences and those past wins that you've had and just realize that sales, there is a lot of up and down with sales. But the best salesmen, best saleswomen in any industry, whether it's windows, pest, security, whatever, like they're the ones who can control their emotions enough to kind of just take the emotional side out of it and just focus in on, am I doing my pitch really well, and am I working the hours and not and talking to enough people? And we preach that a lot within our own company, but I think that's because of experiences that both you and I have
Yeah.
had, where we know it's like once you've done this long enough, you really know that there's really no secret sauce other than just focus on
Basics,
what you can
dude.
control
Yeah.
and focus on the basics. And it sounds so oversimplified. And I feel like a lot of times talking to rookies or training guys, they're always looking for specific, like groundbreaking answers that are
Yeah, how
gonna
do I
like,
get through this smoke screen or
yeah,
whatever? So,
and it's really, there's training's definitely important, but whether it's Windows or Pest or anything else, like the pitch that's in front of you, the top guys aren't doing anything super different. They just have the confidence that they know that the pitch works and they're working really hard. And sometimes that's a hard truth to swallow because sometimes we want more complex answers when really we just have to focus on the more simple stuff.
yeah, dude. I remember countless days like sitting on the curb, like, man, I'm sucking. Like, what is going on? What's
Yeah.
wrong? And I'll like call you, James or Jed or something, and they're like, how are your smiles? How are your head nods?
Mm-hmm.
Are you, how's your pitch? And how's your mentality? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like that's pretty much it, dude. It's like that's all sales boils down to. It's like
Mm-hmm.
pretty basic, and of course, like there's always areas that you can become 1% better, and having those one liners on overcoming this objection or this smoke screen or that. Um, but yeah, just to have like a baseline level of you're doing pretty dang good. It just is like just the basics, right? Do your
Yeah.
pitch, talk to enough people, stay in a good headspace, and you're going to succeed. So I guess coming out of that story, like if you have a new rep that comes in and is really struggling and just not getting the sales, not seeing the success that they thought they would see, I guess what would you say to that rep if they don't have necessarily past experiences in sales to say, oh no, I know I can figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
That they still haven't figured it out yet.
I do think that even if you don't have past experiences in sales, you have past experiences in your life where you were able to figure something out. At least I would hope so. And to me, that is what I relied on when I was in those first couple weeks as a rookie, were my experiences with my life. And it was more focused on just like the fact that one, like I know things are going to work out. Like take a little bit of like the gravity out of the situation
Yeah.
and just like let yourself be okay with how things shake out. And then two, just kind of tap into those stores of confidence that you have from other things, whether it was sports, whether it was school, whether it was anything else that you learned as like some sort of hobby growing up. Like you probably remember experiences in your life where you weren't good at something, but you were able to figure it out. And I think most people can kind of remember those situations and fabricate confidence to give themselves just more time to
Yeah.
figure it out. Because more often than not, when a rookie is struggling, they're acting desperate and they have a lot of desperation coming through their mind and through their thoughts. Thoughts like, oh man, if I don't make a sale this week, I'm not going to be able to pay for this, or
Right.
I'm in a really tough spot financially, or I really wanted this to work out, but it's not working out as well as I would have thought. And you kind of spiral a little bit. And it's easier said than done, but if you can just refocus on like, no, I'm actually good at things. I remember doing this. I remember accomplishing these things and trying to focus in on those. That'll help increase your confidence. Because for most of the time, rookies, the thing that they lack is just confidence when it comes to selling well. Two, I would also say you got to make sure you are memorizing the pitch word for word. There's no need to get super custom on the pitch yet. You don't need to make it your own. You don't need to like try to like reinvent the wheel. First, just copy. Learn how to copy from the guys who have done it really well. And then at a certain point when you've broken through that barrier of success, you can start to put your own twist on it. But don't spend mental power trying to rework the pitch. Just copy it, do it verbatim, but then make it sound genuine. Just don't be a robot. And then third is just knock as many doors as possible. And if you can, knock more than the other guys on your team, right? Everyone's trying to hit their 40 decision makers in a day. Take it one step further. Are you willing to do 50 decision makers in a day, 55 decision makers in a day for a week or 2 weeks? And if you can do those three things, once you make a sale, your confidence will shoot through the roof.
Right.
And that's when you're going to start to have a lot of breakthroughs. Once you set those appointments. And so again, it's basic stuff, but I really do ascribe that they are the most powerful levers that you can move to have success as like a newbie into the space.
100%. I love that. And I think a lot of it, comes down to when you're talking about like your past assurances or past, what do you call them? Like past experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of faith, honestly, it's like having faith in something or in yourself or in God, like all comes back to stacking up all of those past experiences or those past evidences. So you can say, you know what? Like, no, he has showed up for me in the past. Here, and here. It only makes sense that it's going to happen here. So like, I'm going to hold through because I know it's going to happen. I have enough evidence to prove or have confidence that it's going to happen. And so I think that's really important in life in general to be able to keep track of those past experiences and hold on to those and reflect on them. They bring a ton of power, especially in the sales industry.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It carries over for sure. And if you feel like you don't have experiences to tap into, then try to just take small wins as they come as you start knocking. Like, you can take a lot of pride in knowing that even if you didn't sell anything that day, you were the hardest worker that day and you knocked on more doors than anyone else in the company. Or you talked to more people than anyone else in the company. And if you can go into the next day knowing, hey, I have a little bit of confidence because like I'm working my butt off and like I am absolutely grinding and I'm going really hard. And you kind of like start to build that like momentum of confidence. Like, hey, I'm the hardest worker here. Once the sales or the appointment set come through, like you're going to skyrocket. And so allowing yourself to maybe have future confidence on like what things are going to come up as well, because you're really buying into that you're doing a couple things really well, even if maybe setting appointments or making sales is not one of those things yet. You can kind of hold on to something that gives you confidence, and you can come up with that at any point in time in your life.
Totally.
And so definitely draw from those past experiences and those influential people or figures in your life.
Yeah.
But if not, like that's no excuse. You can still fabricate confidence by honing in on something that you can do really well.
Yeah, I love that. And not to drag this out even further, but when you say like if you don't have your own successes yet, I think actually a lot of times you can draw on other people's successes as well. It's like if you're on a team with 5 other rookies and those rookies are going out every day and getting sales, it's like, hey, if they can do it, they have the same experience as me. Why can I not do it? Right?
Yeah.
It's like I can have confidence that, hey, it's just timing or bad luck or whatever it might be, but it's going to work out because it's working out for them.
Yeah.
They're not anything more special than I am.
Yeah, and sometimes you can kind of think like negatively about yourself because you're comparing yourself to them. But if you sat down with that other guy on the team, he would probably tell you exactly what you're maybe wanting to hear, which is like, hey, I'm just a normal guy. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing
Just doing
special
the
about
same
what
thing
I'm
as you,
doing.
man. I just happen to knock into the right people.
Yeah.
You just need to go talk to a few more people, and they're gonna stack up.
Yeah. So there's little stores of confidence all over the place. You just have to find them, tap into them, because when you knock with confidence and with the assurity that things will go well, you'll do good at this job. But if you're acting desperately, if you're worried, if you're stressed out, it comes through every single word that you say on the pitch. People won't want to talk to you. And so if you're struggling, if you're in a slump, if you're in any sort of situation where maybe you're not doing as well as you would have liked, or maybe you're doing well, but you're just trying to get to that next level, maybe you're trying to qualify to be a closer and whatnot, talk to closers, talk to other people in your life, and try to find an extra bit of confidence and maybe some momentum that you can go out and fabricate yourself, and you'll find success.
Sweet. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I've definitely knocked doors for a lot of years with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you've always crushed it. So I want to dive in and hear a little bit more about your mentality, and maybe a little bit of if you have some kind of routine when you're out knocking doors, your day to day. What do you feel like led to your success each day while you're out there knocking?
Um, I would for sure say that the routine and the things that led to my success did change from time to time.
Okay.
Because when I was a rookie, kind of the things that motivated me were things that we've already talked about. Like, I wanted to not be the guy who wasn't selling. I really wanted to be the hardest worker on the team. And I think those things we've already explored and talked about a little bit as well. And then as I kind of got better at sales, a lot of times what you'll see is there's always a rookie spike. Like, once someone figures out how to sell, then they kind of have a breakthrough where they make a couple of sales, and then everyone's thinking like, oh great, yeah, this guy's just going to sell 3 accounts a day, or he's going to set 10 appointments a day for the rest of his life. And then evidently a lot of people go through like a slump.
Yep.
And so as far as routines go, like, I do think that having a standardized routine is important, especially when you're doing this job day in and day out. And I don't really believe, and some people will push back on me, that it has to be anything specific. It can be prayer, it can be working out, it can be just the music that you listen to. I remember one year I had a song that I just picked out was going to be like my go-to song every day that get me in the mood. Why I picked the song?
What song was it? Do you
It was
remember?
a Higher Power by Coldplay.
Okay.
Dumb song. All right. I mean, I liked it, but it's not like one of those pump up songs
Yeah.
that you're thinking like some EDM crazy music
Yeah,
that
yeah,
just
yeah.
gets you like hyped out of your mind and you're like pounding Red Bulls, like classic sales, little scenery right there. But that was like my 5th year selling. Like, and what it did for me was it just kind of got me into this mindset where I'd drop off the guy I was driving out to my area with. I'd put that song on, and it was just routine. And it just really helped kind of get me into a mental state where I go, oh yeah, I've done this 100 times already. I've listened to the song. I know every word inside and out. Like and I'm bringing this example up because, again, to me, the routine specifics of the routine don't matter as much. But having a little bit of routine definitely to help, just at least get you into the mindset.
Yep.
But I'd say the more important thing that really helped me was really buying into the fact that what I was doing was a good service for people, and that what I was offering was going to help people in their day-to-day lives. It was more of a mentality switch. And you might not feel that way selling windows to someone, or pest control, or a security system, or solar. But I always kind of tried to imagine that, like, there are people who are interested in this. Every day you're going to talk to someone who's interested in maybe getting new windows. I felt like I had a responsibility to make sure that they didn't spend their money at a place that was going to be put them off in a worse off situation, right? And I'm not here to call out names, but I do imagine that there are a lot of companies that do not hold themselves to a standard, that leads to a good result for the thing that you're buying. You know, in pest control, we always kind of had these visions in our head that like some companies, you know, they don't do it very good.
Right.
Might as well go with us. Or with the Windows thing, you know, there's selling a Windows great, but how you install it is how, you know, you make or break that job for someone. And so I really kind of got into this like mindset of like I'm being very helpful to people because I'm making sure they land with a good company. And I'm making sure that even if that company does mess up, I know that their policies or they will fix whatever issues there are. And I kind of got into this state where I just felt like I was doing impactful, meaningful work for a lot of people. And it sounds a little silly because at the end of the day, pest control didn't change anyone's lives. But I do think I was able to get people good deals. I was able to help solve problems for people. And I just really liked the feeling of knowing that, like, I wasn't sweet talking people into stuff that they didn't need. More, I was just helping a lot of people get what they wanted at a good price and with a good company. And I feel that way, like, I really feel that way about Revival. Even though most of the time I'm doing operation stuff, like when we started the company, I did go out and knock quite a bit.
Yeah, you did.
And I loved knocking because I knew at the end of the day that that customer was going to be taken care of. Like I knew that if they were going to buy windows, like this is the best place to buy windows from. That's not saying other companies wouldn't do a good job, but I don't know how other companies operate. You hear stories all the time, and this is again not me trying to say anything bad about anyone, but I just know that like if that customer bought windows with us, we'd install them correctly, we would get them a good price. They're not getting just overcharged like crazy. And I know that if anything went wrong, we would fix it. And so I had a lot of confidence. And again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier, is just confidence. I think that's the secret sauce to doing really well at this job. And so that can be buying into your past experiences. That can be buying into the product that you sell. That can just be buying into your work ethic or whatever your why is and why you're working. But if you don't have confidence in what you're doing every single day, you're not going to sell well.
Dude, I love that. That's something that we probably should talk about more, to be honest. It's like we talk a lot about just like the sales mentality and doing good for recruiting and all that stuff. But it's like when it comes down to it, your day-to-day job really is to like go find people that you can actually help.
Yeah.
Right. And we have such a good offer and opportunity to actually make a difference and actually help people, because these are people that are already looking at windows, right? You're offering them for a dang good price for the value. And we have a freaking amazing install. Like our install literally blows people's installs out of the water. And you know that me, Bridger, James, like we're all good guys. Like if the customer was upset about something, we're going to make them happy. We're going to make it right. And we've proven that time and time again.
Yeah.
So like all of you sales reps out there, feel super confident when you're going out there that you are doing a service to all of these people that you're talking to. So like that always helped me as well when I was knocking. It's like if I have someone that gets really mad at me or something, it's like, you know what? I don't need to take that personally because I'm actually doing good for these people in this neighborhood right now.
Yeah.
That guy just didn't understand. That's fine. He doesn't have to understand. I don't have to help that guy if he doesn't want it.
Yeah, and I do want to make sure that I also clarify too, like you can take that a little far by taking no for an answer too easily, you know, because sometimes reps kind of fall into this habit of wanting to be polite, respectful, and I'm teeing this up like it's a bad thing. It's not, but sometimes when you don't have that confidence or you don't have true confidence in what you're doing, you can just get destroyed by smoke screens as well. And the reason being is because you don't truly believe that like it's worth that person's time to listen to you. And so you have to have confidence that even if they don't buy, again, people don't buy windows or they don't buy anything if they don't need it most of the time. I mean, some people will buy stuff that they don't need, but windows is a big enough purchase. Like, trust me, people are not going to buy windows if they have great windows that are operating well. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
Okay. Maybe there's some one-off stories. I'm not going to say never, but like you can have confidence that when you're knocking on these people's doors, like they need windows. And so it's worth their time to listen to your pitch. It's worth their time to just hear what you have to say. And when you have that amount of confidence, when they open the door and they say, "Oh, I'm not interested," or "Nah," you're like the fourth guy to come by already. That doesn't throw me off by any means because I know that they haven't even heard what I have to say yet.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of confidence that like if they just hear me out, it'll be worth their time.
Yeah.
And even if they say no and I don't set the appointment, I know that they're better off for just kind of getting it in their heads and like letting them know that like we're around. If you need windows in the future, that's fine. Let us know. This is a great place to get windows from. And I think that confidence spills over into how you do your pitch, specifically with smoke screens. So it's not just like confidence that it's a good product, but like confidence that your time and what you have to say and what you're offering is definitely worth other people's time. You don't want to kind of just take the beatings and take the no's for an answer.
Yeah.
Like you have a mission to tell people what you're out there to do because you have a lot of confidence that it'll be worth their time and worth eventually buying these products and make their life better.
Yeah, yeah, that reminds me of "Sell or Be Sold" by Grant Cardone. I don't know if you read that one.
Yeah,
Such a freaking good book.
Great book.
Highly recommend it to anyone listening. Go and listen to that book or read it. But the concept in there of like you have to first be sold. That's what we're talking about. You
Yeah.
have to be sold on what you are selling.
Yeah.
If you are not sold, you will then be sold by the customer saying no, right? The customer says, "Oh, I don't need it," or "You're the fourth guy," or whatever. "Oh, okay." It's like, if that's you, you are not sold yet on this product and this service, this offering. Because if you truly are sold, then you will then go and sell that to that customer with a ton of confidence. And you're just going to like talk to way more people.
Yeah.
But until you get to that point, it's like, it's super easy to be sold by the customer on the fact that they don't need it.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to add into this. A lot of times we think in that concept of the seller be sold that the sell is the exchange of money for windows. When for appointment setters specifically, you're not necessarily selling them on buying windows.
Not
right?
at all.
You're just trying to sell them on the idea that the exchange of what we offer is worth the time that it takes for them to hear out, right? We're trying to ask them for time. You're not even really asking for money. That's the closer's job. And so you have to be sold on the experience of having a closer show up to their house as well. You got to know the closers really well. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know the closers that are on your team, but you guys know that our closers here at the company, they are awesome. They're super ethical guys. They all do a really good job. The guys, the girls, everyone does an awesome job. They are respectful of people's time. They're not going to sweet talk them. They're not going to strong arm them. We have really good closers within the company. And so when I would set appointments, whether it was, back in the day, I would set appointments for Landon or Ben, when he started closing or whoever it is, you can have a lot of confidence that like, if I set this appointment and I have Brennan show up to their door, like I know that that's going to be a positive experience for that customer, even if the answer is no. And that does give you kind of a superpower to continue to talk people and to convince them to hear you out. Because again, if you're not sold on the idea that it's worth their time to at least kind of look at a price and look at what it would take to cost windows, you're not going to set very many appointments.
Yeah, right. Worst case scenario, they spend 45 minutes and have a good interaction with one of our guys, and now they know who they're going to turn to when they decide to get new windows.
Yeah, I mean, windows are, if you think about your home, and maybe not a lot of you guys have homes or own homes yet, but y'all live in a home. Having a good window is a pretty important part of your home.
Oh, yeah. I just bought a new home and crappy aluminum windows. And I'm like, all right, those are getting replaced for sure.
Absolutely. And so even if right now is not the time for that customer to buy windows, I have a lot of confidence that it's still worth their time spending 45 minutes to get a price, to hear whoever's going to show up to their door, have a positive interaction where the closer's in and out, respectful of their time, shows them why the windows are good. They're getting a little bit educated on why it'd be important for them. And even if the answer is no, they're going to walk away thinking like, hey, I think that was actually worth my time. I'm going to start saving up and maybe I'll call these guys in the future. Okay. If you have that level of confidence that not only are you sold on the product, but you're sold on the process of like what it is that we're doing, I think it becomes really easy to set appointments and to talk to people and to talk to them with a level of confidence that leads to being good at setting appointments.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
We're running a little bit short on time here, but I did want to dive just for a second into kind of the leadership side. Okay,
Yeah.
because me and you, we led teams alongside each other for a while, and you were always really great leader. Like something I always admired about you is when someone had an issue that they need, help solving, like I could always have confidence, like, you know what, you should probably go talk to Bridger. Get some advice
No.
from Bridger, because you have a way of like understanding people and like helping them work through things. So that's really cool. But every leader, I feel like it's easy for other people to look at a leader and say, man, they've got it all together. They're just crushing it. They always know what to do. So I always kind of viewed you in that light, but I know that's not the case, right? It wasn't always like sunshine and rainbows and everything went perfect.
Yeah.
So I want to hear, what would you peg as one of, it doesn't have to be the biggest failure, but like one of your biggest failures, you'd say, and what you learned from that, like leading teams.
That's a good question, and probably not something that I think about very much, because a lot of times with failures, you kind of tend to shove them under the rug.
Yeah, for
a
sure.
little bit.
Or not count them as failures. And that's fine if you don't honestly view it as a failure, but maybe if you could take a second and just kind of look back. Because I think good leaders are good at not viewing failures as failures, but learning experiences.
Yeah.
Right. And so maybe it's not on the top of your mind as a failure necessarily.
So I do actually feel like this experience was one of the biggest failures at the time, but led to a really good thing. And Landon's going to remember this intimately, but it was the summer that we went and sold pest control in Orange County.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember that summer.
we recruited a ton of rookies. It was me, you, and Ben pretty much leading the team. James was leading another team. We were really excited. We had all come off a really good summer the summer before, and we had tons of rookies. And on that team was my brother, my little brother, and some of his friends, family members, cousins. Like, we had a lot of people on the team that weren't just like guys who showed up, but like people who we had prior relationships with, and they mattered a lot to us. Like, I had my brother-in-law on that team, and man, that was just a horrible start to the summer. I think we were meeting. It was really hard to sell. We were going out to areas. The team was just not doing well. Even you and I weren't doing super well. And there was just a definite amount of just sadness, and we were just bummed out that it wasn't going well. We were blaming the area, and we really kind of felt like it just wasn't going to work out well for us. And I remember spending a lot of my own time trying to help other people work through the small parts of mastering the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good example because it ties into what we've been talking about a lot today. But what I didn't do, and maybe it's because I was scared, is I didn't spend a lot of time actually knocking on the doors myself. I justified that the work I was doing, the most important thing that I needed to do, I thought at the time, was to go watch everyone else work and tell them how they can get better. And I would spend hours with people, shadowing them, staying on the doors, and I just kind of felt like it wasn't like I could spend 4 hours with someone, feel like I worked on everything. I had my iPad out taking all these notes on what they can work on, and then the week after that, they still wouldn't have improved.
Right.
And really, I think what it came down to and what I learned from that is I was not instilling confidence in anyone because I didn't have confidence in myself, because the hours that I did go out and knock, I wasn't doing really well. So I was kind of avoiding the most important thing, which was leading from the front. And so I definitely that summer was a bit of a failure. I think it ultimately led to a lot of the key guys in our team, jumping off and doing other things because they never were able to break through. But I did a bad job of setting pace at the beginning as a leader and leading from the front. And so it was a really good opportunity. I think in the future now, for current leaders here at the company, you should know that while, yes, you can spend a lot of time training, it's more important that you have yourself out there in front of the guys, setting the pace, setting appointments, showing guys that it can be done and that it's possible, And that confidence boost of you selling really well or you setting really well is going to do a lot more for your struggling guys than if no one is setting well and you're
Yes.
spending all your time
Yeah.
training.
And I will put one caveat in there, that it doesn't always have to be you, right, as the leader, but there has to be someone there. You have to have a pillar rep on the doors
Yeah.
every single day. Like
Yeah.
that is non-negotiable, or else you will lose momentum. Like it's impossible to gain momentum without a pace setter. And so if you don't have one of those guys, if you don't have a pillar rep yet, and you're out there leading a team, it's like, yeah, that's like the most important thing that you can be doing is going out there and setting pace for the rest of your guys.
Yeah. Because if someone's doing good, it can generate confidence
Yeah,
that like, hey, the
momentum
area is
breeds
good.
momentum,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So.
Well summed.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think that was fun.
Yeah,
Kind of
it
dive
was
in,
fun.
take a little bit of trip to the past, bring out some old memories and emotions.
Yeah.
Orange County, it's good stuff.
Good stuff for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we better call that a wrap.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for coming on.